here today, Marcos? Talk about Uncharted 4.
Uncharted 4.
Which came out a while back.
So now charted.
Now everything is
well charted.
It's well charted.
It's well charted 4.
Well charted 4.
What's the opposite of un? What's the opposite suffix for un?
Well, but would that be the Yes, it would be the opposite.
I don't know.
Re-charted.
Something.
Recharted. Oh, they should have called.
Don't have an opposite.
No,
because it's
technically not.
Satisfactory and unsatisfactory. It just goes away.
Yeah, I think they should have called the collection that Recharted 1.
Recharted 1.
Recharted 2 with Thieves. What was it? Honor Among. What the fuck was it called? The first one is Drake's Fortune. Second one is Honor Among Thieves. No. Third one's Drake's Deception.
Yeah, Drake's Deception.
What's the second one? It's the best one.
I actually don't like the title of the third one.
Drake's Deception? I mean, is he being deceived or is he deceiving people in that one? If anything, I would say that Uncharted 4, he's deceiving people.
Right.
He's deceiving Elena, particularly.
Deceiving quite a few people.
Yeah, spoilers. This is going to be spoiler heavy, just so you know. You've had months to play this, though.
It's basically full spoiler.
Full spoiler.
From this point on,
if
you didn't want to know things about Uncharted 4,
Nathan Drake dies.
Right.
Someone should have died.
Stabbed through the heart by a unicorn.
By Rafe's pirate sword.
Right.
Yeah.
He was in my playthrough several times.
So I'm gonna go to the end really quickly right here. I hate that fight. I hate it so much.
Very anticlimactic for me.
Why did it have to come down to that kind of fight? Why?
It was a very Disney fight for me.
It was. If anything, it looked pretty.
Oh yeah,
it looked fantastic.
It looked gorgeous. I liked the back and forth sword play. I just didn't.
The taunting was good too.
Yeah, the taunting was great.
Yeah.
I just didn't think that it was capable for Drake to pull the wool over Rafe's eyes in terms of here's the rope.
Yeah.
Cut the rope.
Yeah.
Drop the chandelier object on top of the villain. It just seemed way too easy.
It did seem way too easy.
Plus, because, so, to preface, I play every game on the hardest difficulty.
Sure.
Because I want to know what my limitations are.
Get the challenge out of it.
And, no Uncharted game has been the exception. So, yeah. I played on just crushing.
Yeah.
And just because of the finicky control or the nature of, that looked like a left. It looked like a right. I mean, it's the first time you're introduced to the swordplay mechanic. Yeah. So unless you're a god, I just don't see how you're always going to get the movements down perfectly. So it was the cutscene from right before you end that fight, and it's this one where Rafe literally has you have to do a 4-chain combo matching him perfectly each time, but that third one before the fourth always tripped me up. So I must have spent 20 minutes consistently dying over and over because I didn't know how to react to that motion or I wasn't pressing it at the right speed. It took forever. So all of that to say, that whole fight scene showed Rafe's just his ability to fight. It showed his tenacity. It showed his voraciousness. It showed his fervor as a sword fighter. So then for all of a sudden, you to just go chop on a rope, and suddenly you're telling me this guy can't jump out of the way.
Right.
He's been a fucking ninja
the entire game.
For that entire fight sequence. Yeah. He's supercharged, and he couldn't notice or jump out of the eye.
Right. That was a very 80s movie moment. More than anything else in the game, I think.
I was pretty taken away by that.
Yeah. We'll probably get to that further at some point, but the relationship I thought was really interesting. The back and forth between Rafe and Nate. And really because he has a relationship with all of them.
He does.
Unlike...
They were friends.
They were friends. Partners. I won't ever say they were actually friends.
Yeah, they had different goals.
Because, if you think about it, near the beginning at the prison, when Sam falls, when they're about to escape, Rafe doesn't give a shit. And he's like, you either come with me, you either get on this boat, or you're done. So it was the intentions were clear from there, for Rafe, but I think his relationship with the protagonist and the supporting cast is a lot better than those in the previous games because there was a connection there of a past, Don't get me wrong. I do. I like how other villains from the previous games are like how they are presented and stuff. Some of them are presented very well, some of them not so well. But Rafe, because of he has that connection, is I think far more interesting to me.
Well, and see to that point, I feel like Rafe wasn't a villain. To me, I feel like the Drake brothers were the villains in this game because consistently, Rafe is telling Nate, stop.
Yeah.
Go home.
You have a chance.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I've got an army worth of guys that I only hired because I don't want you assholes getting in this shit. And I'll never forget that moment where Drake has survived this crazy-ass bell tower fall.
That was in Madagascar?
South
Africa. Somewhere in South Africa.
No, I think it was in Madagascar.
Yeah.
And like, he survives this ungodly, like, there's no way you're gonna walk out of that. Even if you do survive, like, you at least need to take, like, a 2-hour power nap or something.
Sure.
But he walks out of there, he's on the phone or something, and...
They're driving.
No, Rafe's driving, but he's telling him, are you an idiot? You didn't check your phones? Like, I'm tracking you through GPS. Like, It was this super hilarious, like, I can't believe you're that much of an idiot. But he literally called him to say, look, I am ahead of you. I know where to go.
Yeah.
Thanks for your help. Go home.
Yeah.
I'm warning you now. Stop. This wasn't ever Sam or Nate's, like, this wasn't their thing to have. Rafe's motivation was that everything had been handed to him on a silver platter, and he wanted to earn
it.
For once in his life, he wanted to earn something. And
without help.
Without help. And maybe it would have taken him all his life blasting dynamite in that graveyard in Scotland. Maybe he would have been there forever. But you know what? He would have died 80 and he would have died miserable as opposed to dying in some shipyard like Neil Druckmann would have wanted you to say, oh, greed will get me killed in a Spanish ship because I can't let things go. No, that's his motivation. To me, I resonated with Rafe because it was a man who would not quit. Why should Rafe suffer? Because he believed in something and fought with the same tenacity that Drake and his brother fought for, only their hearts weren't in it.
Sure.
Only Nathan and Sam never really had their heart in it in the first place because Nate was being an idiot, lying to himself, lying to Elena, because he couldn't figure it out this whole time.
And Sam was lying to him the entire time, too.
And Sam was lying to him.
Oh.
And Rafe, at the same, everyone was lying to everyone except for Rafe.
Rafe was the only one who was honest to himself.
And Sully, because Sully was like, I don't know, Nate.
Yeah, we shouldn't be doing this.
We shouldn't be doing this. Is bad.
Just give me a cigar.
Just give me a cigar and a whiskey. But like that, and that was my point. That is why I hated the Drake brothers, because as much as it was great to learn about all of their adventures, like, so first of all, Nate, you've discovered already quite a few lost civilizations.
Yeah.
Take what you got. Stop. Sam, you did not apparently die, and you've survived.
Yeah.
Find your brother, live a good life, you're done.
Move on.
Obviously, that doesn't make a very exciting game.
No, it doesn't.
But I don't think drudging the Uncharted name needed to happen. I don't believe Uncharted 4 should have existed. I think it should have been Uncharted 1 is fine, even though it wasn't the best game in the world. Uncharted 2...
proof of concept, I think.
Proof of concept. Uncharted 2 was fantastic.
Yeah.
Uncharted 3 should have been DLC, and Uncharted 4 should have been the Uncharted 3 that would have given us the closure that we needed in the series. Instead, this felt like, I don't know. To me, this felt completely unnecessary for that reason.
Uncharted 4 was also like, hey, we need to put an Uncharted game on the PlayStation 4.
Right.
You know.
But when you look at villains, Rafe to me doesn't sound like a villain. He doesn't feel like a villain to me.
He's portrayed that way.
Lazarevich is a madman.
Oh, he's evil.
He's just crazy.
Yeah.
And then what's her name in 3?
I think her name was Margot,
something like
Margaret.
that. And her right-hand henchman guy.
Oh, yeah. I hate that guy.
I mean, but like, they were like madmen, psychopaths.
They were comical.
People. They were like...
They were comic villains.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They fit that mold of like... I don't know, like template hero, template treasure,
villain,
whatever.
The basis for an action movie.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like how they I honestly did not like how they treated Rafe in that. Also because I didn't like how they treated Nadine in that. I thought Nadine was a fucking badass.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
and
she's in it for a clear goal.
Yeah. And she didn't get defeated at any point.
She never got defeated.
No, even at the end, she walked away from it all.
Yeah.
She walked away from her partner and from the people who were pursuing her, right?
She had to step down because Rafe bought out her men, but only because he's fucking... Like, that was my thing. Every time you saw Rafe get more quote-unquote villain-like and more evil, for me, I was like...
I think there were last resorts.
He was frustrated.
Yeah.
Like, everything that he did, I probably would have done the same thing. Because I would have been like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Can I just get this treasure?
Why are these two guys chasing me?
Oh my god.
But I think, I don't know if you're forgetting or you're trying to get to it at some point. If you are, I'm sorry. But they do, I think the Drake brothers do have a stake in this, and this is one of the last things that their mother was working on. But you think that's not enough, that's not concrete enough to justify it?
It's not like she had written down there, like, and if only my two boys would discover this, like, they're just doing it to the memory of her.
Sure.
So they can sleep better at night. They've killed thousands of people so that they can sleep better, that they've gotten their mother's legacy across.
Right.
I feel like then it's, I don't know. I feel like it's a little presumptuous to say, because your mom was working so hard for it, you should have to discover it.
Sure.
I don't know. Honestly, I would have wanted either Sam to have lost something or Nick to have lost something, like a leg or a life. Something needed to have happened for them to have felt...
Understand the gravity of the situation.
You can't discover 2 or 3 lost civilizations and walk away unscathed.
Yeah.
I feel
there's going to be a strike at some point. There has to be.
They needed a scar.
Yeah.
I feel like they needed something to live with the rest of their life to say, you can't just have all this and walk away from it.
And even at the end of the game, it didn't even feel like the last thing I was thinking of, though there has to be maybe some kind of emotional scar. It didn't seem that way. They seemed very happy with where they were and they moved on with the rest of their lives. And real quick, I think that's probably why I don't think like something like, they've said in the past also with Tomb Raider, like movies like Indiana Jones and those kind of movies kind of inspire, this kind of a journey. But at least in those movies, you can say that Dr. Jones was up against actual evil. Like in every movie, he either fought Nazis, or some kind of weird death cult, right? And so that's where you can say...
It's kind of hard to sympathize with.
It's kind of hard. Yeah, like I love the part. I remember the part in Last Crusade where they go into the castle off the border of Austria, and then he notices like, he finally understands, this is a Nazi stronghold, and he looks at the woman, I forgot her name, Dr. Schneider, and he's like, Nazis, I hate these guys. And it's like, yeah, of course you do, because you're an American and these guys are pure evil, and that's the difference. And I think that in Uncharted 4, they maybe did a little better job of humanizing Nadine's army, because you actually hear them have conversations about this. If you pay attention, they have conversations about Drake, like, oh man, this guy, he killed these guys over there in Scotland or whatever, and you hear them have those conversations, and their role is not just, while in the end it is, they're just a bunch of guys for you to kill, but they have a purpose there, which I think they do a better job of. But I agree with you. It's not necessarily easy to sympathize with, it's easier to sympathize with these villains, right? These people you have to kill than it is Nazis or something,
Yeah,
You know what I'm getting to, right?
Yeah, it's easier to look past them in the previous games.
Yeah.
But in this game, the more humanized...
They're more human.
But so that's my thing. If you're going to humanize things, and if you're going to make things really realistic, then even though they're not...
Let there be consequences.
And let there be consequences. Because you can't have your cake and eat it too. You
can't
have it both ways.
No, you can't.
You can't have this ultra-realistic, like... live in the real world, humanize people, but then at the same time, like, everyone has a happy ending.
Right.
And so that's what I love about games like Dishonored. Games like Dishonored, games like Bioshock, there are no real happy endings. You have outcomes, but there are clear...
pros and cons.
But there are also, like, visible consequences when you do, like, bad actions, when you do positive actions. They have an effect on the overall gameplay. Yeah. They have an overall effect to the result of your finished game. So that's not at all what Uncharted 4 is. Uncharted 4 is a linear, live with our outcomes, and that's it. And I love Uncharted 4 for its linearity in that sense of like going from one place to another. It's on the rails.
It's very clear.
Right. Uncharted 2 is beautiful in that sense.
Yeah.
Perfect. But when you're trying to have everyone agree with the same outcome, I think with an outcome like Uncharted 4, there's too much conflicting emotions that come out for me in like, that's not possible. Drake would be dead by now.
Yeah.
Could he take one more day to rest? For fuck's sake, this is impossible. Are they really going to do this? That seems too unlikely. X, Y, or Z. Rafe this. Like, for me, there were so many moments like that occurred throughout the game that I couldn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because I was so focused. The only times I ever enjoyed Uncharted 4 were the flashbacks.
They were fantastic.
Those are my favorite parts in the game.
Those are perfect.
Absolutely perfect. I love those moments. But the rest of it for me was, honestly, I was thinking way too much. I couldn't enjoy myself. And then, not only that, but this quote-unquote stealth part of that game made it even so much harder.
And real quick, I remember, I think it was last year when you were back here, and I think we were playing through the beginning of Uncharted 2, and we both kept saying, man, if they're gonna do stealth again, they better fix this shit. And while I think that in Uncharted 4 it works better, it doesn't mean it's good. And it's not. It's that's a poor man's Metal Gear Solid 5. And I mean that the way it sounds, like it's the truth, you know. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, the stealth.
There aren't even any silenced weapons for it to really like work.
Well, there aren't any like there's no consequence. There are no consequences either.
Yeah.
Like there's this one level where you're approaching the mansions, the pirates' mansions.
Right, the city.
Fucking, by the way, that level's
is gorgeous.
If I can just really praise Uncharted 4 before I berate more of it,
sure,
it is how gorgeous some of those levels are.
Yeah,
like
it's
and
incredible design and detail.
The creativity of those mansions, I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
Just the setting alone you don't get to see that in a lot of games.
There's a lot of environmental storytelling going on. It's specifically when you get to the founder mansions.
Yeah.
There's some incredible stuff there.
But there was this one level where you're in the water and like there's some sunken-ish like buildings.
Right.
So you can kind of for a sense hide behind things. And basically there's this like if you can picture a square.
I remember this.
There's like some areas you can hop on and then some areas you can swim underwater. Mm-hmm. At the north side of the square, there's a larger building that's collapsed, and so you can spend some of it in the building underwater, but others of it above water. And then there's a ledge more north,
right?
And above that ledge, there's like at least a couple of guards on top, rocket launchers, whatever, snipers. And so you're dealing with the people in that square, but you're also dealing with people who are above more north and on the cliff. And for me, playing Crushing, oh my god, it was ridiculous.
It's a pain in the ass.
If they even see like a fingernail,
you're dead.
A rocket launcher,
you're dead. Yeah.
So I spent a good majority of the time swimming underwater from one side to the next, one side to the next, and I would wait for them just to go, I don't see him. Where is he? Oh, can't find him. Yeah. Whatever. And then then just go over, pick him off.
Yeah,
and then,
ambush.
Full alarm. And I'm just swimming back and forth. And it's like, so that's not stealth. I'm just resetting the AI until I get what I need so I can move forward. And to me, that was not great. That was not great design because it was more like me just biding my time until I could get forward. And trust me though, there were moments where it funneled you into, you're going to have to just face this shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And be good, which was chapter 20, No Escape. I only remember because it took me like 5 hours to beat. And that one funneled you into like a meat grinder of just absurdity. People being able to throw grenades where you couldn't throw grenades back. Specific waves of enemies.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the grenade thing.
Specific waves of enemies coming at you from specific areas that, like, if even one thing was off, there would be no way for you to recover from. So I appreciated that some areas funneled you into madness, but others were like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Get to it however you want. And that wasn't, like the stealth, there was another level where you could kill everybody, but it wouldn't matter because getting to the end of the stage triggered a cutscene where it would respawn more people.
Yeah, like a heavy armored guy or something. Yeah, there was a couple of moments like that.
So it was like, what was the whole point of me spending 45 minutes stealthily killing every single person?
I guess maybe their reasoning is like conserve ammo if you're playing on crushing, but that's not a good reason, you know.
It was, yeah.
I think if anything,
because then you die and then you got to start the checkpoint all over.
Yeah,
so
Jesus.
It's like it doesn't reward you at all for any of being like stealthy.
The one area that I remember replaying the most was when you get to the island, or when the boat crashes, and you're going through that kind of like narrow path of jungle, and then you finally reach Sam in a cutscene. So it's all like really, it's very green. There's a lot of tree and fauna, yeah, around. So I think that's the only level that I believe was catered more to the stealth playthrough, right? But even then, most of the game is not designed around that, because and we know this, like, I think the example I made the last time we spoke about this was that a lot of Uncharted's level design reminded me of Tony Hawk, because now that you have the rope swing thing, it's really just trying to be a whip, right? You can set up combos, right? The levels are set up that way, where you like chain off one thing, another thing, and it is satisfying. But if that's the case, then maybe that's the strength of the game, and they should have concentrated more on that instead of putting in a stealth mechanic, which honestly, the only way you can hide was in the tall grass. And that was the only reason the tall grass was in those areas, which is why I said in this specific level on the island, it made sense because it's a jungle. In Scotland, it made no sense.
Right.
You know?
I was cackling the whole time because I was like walking past
random
people
tall grass
where they could clearly
see you. Yeah.
And yet I was just like, and like stealthily running by and then going, fuck. Because there was no point in me sneaking by them, because I was going to have to at some point either say, do I spend
because the level isn't tailored that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do I spend 45 minutes to kill all of you silently, or do I just kill out a few and then take you all out? It's so confusing. Like, each level design puts you up against what am I really supposed to do? And to your point, if you're going to put those stealth elements in there, then lean to that strength of this is the stealth level. Yeah. And I think that would have been great. Honestly, I would have enjoyed Uncharted 4 had they chosen a linearity of this area is stealth. This area is balls out, guns ablazing. Yeah. This area is more conserved. This area is whatever.
Themed. Each area be themed.
God, could you imagine? Because then you know
that's a variety.
Exactly. Yeah. But then you're in your head, you know what's coming. Because then you're like, all right, I'm gonna play it cool, and then floor it. Y'all are fucking in trouble now,
right,
motherfuckers.
Right. I think if they designed the level, was it in Sicily? Were they doing the auction and that?
That was good stuff.
Okay, now yes, but I think that if you're talking about them each stage being themed to a mechanic, that would have been the perfect one to really theme it. Because if you think about it, after you steal the cross, right? It was a cross of whatever. Saint something. Damascus? Something like that, yeah.
Dionysus?
No, I think it's Damascus. But I remember after you steal it, you're on the rooftops, and then alarms are blazing. So all this, obviously it was going to the right. That's the climax. But if you had,
floored.
It just floors. It just goes to 100%. Michael Bay all the way. That rhymed. But when I keep thinking about what you just said right now, it's like, well, they could have made that entire level this incredible stealth experience, singular, exclusive to this, and then the rest of it, boom, it just turns into an Uncharted game. Right. I think that would have been really cool.
Like, you know how you have to do those cutscenes or those button things where it's like you see an action, you have to press X to dodge, speed or whatever. It would have been awesome if like you had to like quickly go from one side of the stage to the other, and every now and then people would be like
look at you or something.
They look at you and go, "Excuse me, sir," and then you have to quickly press X and you have to say something in French and Italian or whatever, and that would defer them and be like, "Oh, whatever, something, excuse me," and be like, "Oh, okay, no worry." Like you'd have to like quickly like go through a crowd, Hitman style. Because like
that's a perfect example actually.
Hitman's got going through a crowd. Perfectly.
Yeah, because the game is designed around it.
That's what I'm saying. They could have taken elements from something like that and then given you what everyone loves about Uncharted.
Exactly.
Which was the balls out, gun.
But that's the thing. Uncharted is about the balls out, guns blazing thing. It's not about everything else, which I think the game that gets that right, I think, is The Last of Us. In terms of the systems and mechanics at play in the level design worked well for you to go guns blazing if you wanted to waste all your ammo, or to kind of stealthily move around people.
But you could be stealthy in Last of Us.
Also because the mechanics worked better, because you could actually be stealthy, like you just said.
Except that Last of Us came out in the PS3 era.
Yeah.
Uncharted 4 came out later.
Yeah.
And they still had not fixed your wandering AI companion, which drives me absolutely crazy.
It does.
When I see Drake and Sully running around.
Yeah. And nobody sees Sully.
Playing dominoes with Nadine's men.
Yeah. Nobody sees Sully.
Taking selfies together.
Yeah.
You know, why?
Actually, I mean,
Why?
you're right. Like in The Last of Us, they don't fix that. I remember the very first time I played it, and you're going through the Capitol, and you're still with Tess before she dies. Spoilers. And like, there's those moments where this is like when you're trying to get into near the Capitol. It's raining. It's evening. You're going through a collapsed building, right? And then it's like you're Joel huddled up against the cover, and then there's like a clicker or something next to you, and then all of a sudden you see your footsteps coming right next to you, and it's Tess, and she's on the other side that's not in cover, and you're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Like, how can the clicker not see you or hear you, whatever, you know? And that was always
breaking immersion.
That totally broke immersion for me, but in this game it does it even more so, I think.
It's way too. It's I don't know. Maybe it can't be fixed, but
I don't think it can. Not anymore.
So I've been recently watching the Grumps play Resident Evil. They're playing
1-0?
the remaster.
Okay, yeah.
And I recently resaw actually a video by Mark Brown of Game Maker Toolkit, and he was covering point and click adventure games. Mm-hmm. And I kept thinking to myself, the more I saw Resident Evil, I was like, man, this is like a point and click adventure. Like, this really is like a point and click adventure. But the thing that I remember was, so Aaron had just killed Plant 42, whatever it was. He killed that plant. Well, he didn't really, but Barry had come in and flame through? He used a flamethrower to kill the plant. And then afterward, you see Barry just standing there and doesn't even move. I mean, that's just how the game was. So he's just not moving. And as Aaron moves Jill into another room, Danny makes this observation that says, "Hey, why doesn't Barry join you? Like, why does everyone always want to split up all the time?" And Aaron's like, "Well, because back then they couldn't just program a fucking AI to be with you all the time. Plus,
right.
If they did, then you wouldn't have any agency to take out the zombies or be afraid of them,
right.
Because your best friend Barry's behind you. So, he'll shoot the zombies, so I don't need to conserve ammo." And I was like, fuck, that makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Like, having limitations on hardware and systems actually made the game more fucking poignant, to the point where it's like, so in Last of Us or in Uncharted 4, you have these companions with you, but maybe you shouldn't have had them. Or in a sense, if you did, they needed to be utilized in another way that wasn't just, they're around me, because then they're doing comical shit, like running around, exchanging phone numbers with enemies, and it's like, what the fuck is going on?
And they have a one-liner at the end of it.
Like,
you know what I think would have worked? Is if maybe you're in some deep shit in a firefight, and Sully is in the area trying to get to the same objective, and then, hey, they come out and say, hey, we're gonna help you. Hey, we're here to help you. You know what I mean? Like, he's a companion, but he's more of a, I'm gonna have your back when shit goes downhill. You know what I mean?
Something
like that.
Something. Or like, or Sully sprains his leg, and like, he can only stay behind one cover for a while. Right. And
set up handicaps.
Right, and
then
so you have to drag him from one side to the other. I don't know. Or Sam has to
Something.
drag him from one side to the other.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't care.
So,
but it's better than having them run around in front of.
So in that case, what do you think about? Because The Last of Us came out at the same time, around the same time that Bioshock Infinite did, and Bioshock Infinite also has a companian. Do you think that
one of the best companion, if not the best companion?
I think that honestly, they probably handled that better, because there was also, first of all, the game never had any kind of stealth mechanic.
Right.
It's not a stealth game at all, and nor is it trying to be. And Elizabeth not only helped you find stuff, lockpicks, everything, but she would throw ammo at you. And there was even the mechanic of her being able to open up tears where there was like turrets or ammunition, and that made more sense. So she wasn't a burden. She was an important factor in getting from one end to the next.
Because I think they saw Elizabeth less as an AI and more as a gameplay mechanic.
Because of the tears, specifically.
Well, but for everything else.
Sure.
Like, she was like an item. Like, if you think about Zelda, she's like an item that you don't have to use. It is something that is like an item in that you can use it for your benefit, but it is autonomous of you. So that if you're in a boss fight and you see those tears, well, then I'm just going to press X and activate it. And there it is. So in a sense, it's like having a secondary ability less than an AI.
Yeah.
So it's an ability that is masked as an AI. So we get attached to it and we love it because it's like a tool. And we love our tools. We love the bow. We love the ice rod. We love the fire rod. We love all those things because they're useful to us. Yep. And without them, we are without our powers as gamers. And so in that sense, I feel like Elizabeth, in a sense, wasn't a revolutionary AI more than she was, in a sense, a tool of both gameplay and narrative.
Yeah, narrative. I was about to say that. Yeah.
That was masqueraded as an AI because all of her movements are controlled and concise. When you turn around, she's not there. Suddenly, she's right behind you.
Yeah.
The game knew how to plant her in the right places. Whereas
when you need ammo, she'll book or catch.
As opposed to the quote unquote AI that you see in like Resident Evil 4 with Ashley or like but see, and in those, what does everybody say? Like, well, we don't want to have AI to babysit them. Yeah. And it's like, well, then that's not really. You can't really AI that. No one's gonna invent a HAL 9000 AI that's gonna that is gonna provide you for a great experience. AI is AI. I mean, there's a limitation on what you can do for it, but that's where I felt Bioshock Infinite just excelled the fucking thing. Yeah. Because I don't think they explicitly looked at her as AI. Yeah. They may have sold it to us like that, but I think her core mechanics are that she's a gameplay function and she's a tool. But through both gameplay and through narrative. So you get attached to her in that sense.
Actually, I think about it now, in The Last of Us and in Uncharted 4, the only time where these companions become useful is if you're in a melee combat situation. So like, you'd be getting choked out in The Last of Us and Ellie will come out of nowhere and smack this guy across the face with a brick. And in Uncharted 4, it's the same thing. You could be you can be having a melee kind of conflict and then Sully will come and smack him in the face. But that's about it.
But it doesn't work if it's the other way around.
It doesn't work if it's the other way around. No, it doesn't.
If I'm there fighting and Sully's getting attacked and I'm like, I am like 20 miles away from you right now.
And then he'll go down.
And he dies and it's like,
that's it. Game over.
No control over that.
No, you don't.
And I had been preparing 45 minutes. I keep going to this 45 minutes sample.
Yeah.
Because it's really seared in how upset I am with Uncharted 4. But you're going to this 45-minute escapade. Yeah. Then Sully dies. Because the AI Sully
is inconsistent.
Whereas in Bioshock Infinite, Elizabeth took care of herself.
Elizabeth can never die in the game.
The game would never put her in
a situation. The only time they put her in a situation of danger is when she's taken from you.
And when you have agency over it.
But you have no control of what happens to her, until you get to that point. It's not, that's not something you have to worry about. Because at that point, the narrative takes over, not the gameplay.
Yep.
Yeah. So, we talked quite a bit about mechanics. What do you think? I know what you think now about the Drake brothers. What do you think about all the characters as a whole? Real quick, was there a character that you wish you could have seen return from previous games? Because my answer really quick is Cutter.
Cutter?
Oh, I love Cutter. And even then, in the third game, he was there for like a split second, and then he was gone. Because he broke his leg.
Right.
I mean, that's a good reason for him not to continue.
Just off the top of my head, I can't think of a character I would have wanted to come back, just because I think it would have obfuscated the story a little bit.
Sure.
No, I think they kept it. I think they kept it pretty
close to the chest.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously did invent some new characters, like the woman that his mother works for, and I was like,
right.
And who's this woman?
Yeah.
And why have I been reading about your husband's letters and all of this stuff? Why don't I get to know anything more about this rich benefactor woman who's got...
To be fair, that whole part of that mansion, all the environmental storytelling was pretty great.
It was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know more.
Yeah. I enjoyed reading everything there. Yeah.
Like...
the correspondence was really cool.
Yeah. Like, what is all this? Could they go back? Could they talk to the husband?
Right.
I feel like that's an lost civilization right there. That fucking mansion. Get back in there.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming all that stuff got sold off to universities and other shit. But it's like
museums or something. Yeah.
Man. Yeah, I don't know. No, I can't think of another character that
you would have liked to have seen.
Okay. I would
Okay.
have liked to have seen come, only because I don't know how plausible it would be.
It would have been. I think, like, this is the thing. I like Cutter a lot. I like the actor who plays him. So I would have liked to have seen Cutter come in, like, you know, kind of like how Sully comes in, it's like with the plane and stuff. Like, hey, Sully told me you needed help or something. Even if that just kind of breaks a little bit. How about the better question is, what's a character you would have been totally okay not seeing in the game at all?
Oh.
That is in the game.
Oh.
Pre-existing.
I guess I would have been okay. Well, I mean, there's really only not that many.
No, they all kind of play a key role.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
No, there's not really that many.
No.
Like, when you really boil it down, there's just like 5 or 6 main characters.
Basically, yeah. And all of, a lot of the turmoil is really honestly happening between Elena and Nate, and not necessarily Sam and Nate, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I could remove anybody from the story.
Probably not. Honestly, like, I do agree that Nadine was a great character, but at the same time, I feel, and she was there to humanize the people you were fighting, right? In a way, like, hey, these are people. They have agendas. They have goals. But I feel that her character was, in a way, a bit kind of underutilized. You know, with an exception of the 2 battles. So you do have the battle with her in the library of that mansion where the auction is going on. It is Italy, right? It probably is Italy.
And then in
New Devon,
New Devon,
I just remember the name of the city. And that was a pretty cool fight.
Oh
because
my God.
That was a great fight.
I really loved how every time they like totally underestimated her.
Yeah.
They're like, "Come on, Nadine, it's 2 of us versus you," and they just consistently lose.
And then if you think about it, when it gets to the end of that fight, it's actually Rafe that saves her from mid, right? Because he's like, "Well, I have all these guys with me, and you guys are at the edge of a cliff, literally, right?"
That was a good scene.
It was a very good scene. That was great. Honestly, at that moment,
it would have ended there if he was a better shot.
Honestly, that whole moment, I was thinking this was also, I'm going back to Indiana Jones kind of references, but it reminded me a lot also of the end of Last Crusade, where they're in the temple looking for the cup of Christ, and Donovan, who is the villain, who later you find out is the villain, who is the benefactor of the museum that Indiana Jones usually works for, he shoots Indy's dad and says, "Hey, that's your motivation for going to get that motherfucking cup." And I thought, I knew at that moment, someone's gonna get shot, right? And it kinda happened, but Nate was fine, you know?
After falling,
who knows how, that looked like a very deep fall.
And then being found by Elena.
Conveniently, right? That's where Elena comes in. That's where I would say I would have been okay if Elena was not directly involved with the gameplay, and if it was just her in the cutscenes, right? If anything, that was a consequence. A minor consequence of everything that was going on. His relationship with Elena was becoming strained.
Right, until it wasn't.
It's interesting though how I'm pretty sure most people wouldn't have a conversation about the relationship when they're trying to survive this dangerous island with armed men. Because remember, they're having these conversations after killing a bunch of dudes and then moving on, getting on an elevator with a truck, with a Jeep and everything. And I found that really weird.
So when it comes down to it for me, I feel that The Last of Us has influenced how I would have enjoyed Uncharted 4. And
even though they're completely different games.
I feel like Neil, if you're listening, which I know you're not,
no,
you asshole. But listen, you fucked it up for me because you made The Last of Us incredible. And I felt like you were setting the bar. I felt like you were setting the standard for what narrative is like in games. And I would have been totally willing to look past the flaws in gameplay. Neil, I hear you, but let's be honest. These are some flaws in gameplay. And listen, though. Neil, I would be willing to overlook any one of those gameplay flaws. Any one of them. But that ending, the way the story evolved over time with Elena and Nate and the ending with Rafe and the ultimate ending with their daughter and
Cassie.
Sam,
Cassandra.
You know, they're coming for the holidays. They're
Yeah.
gonna bring ham, and they're just gonna get drunk and talk about shit and
Yeah, get on a boat.
get on a boat and throw Spanish doubloons over just for shits and get like. I just, you know, with what you left me at the end of Last of Us, I really thought we were going places, Neil. I really thought we had something special. And I get that they're two very different games, but you know what? It left me disappointed. That is where my anticipation for Uncharted 4 was going, and it's ultimately not what I received.
Sure.
So I did not enjoy Uncharted 4 as much as I thought I would. And that's because I was pretty much blackout.
You were. I
was
remember.
on blackout for like 2 years.
And you literally bought it like, what, maybe 5 months after it came out, too?
No, not even 5 months.
No, is it more?
Way later. And I didn't even buy it. A friend lent it to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
It was maybe like 6 months. Maybe.
something like that.
6 or 8. I don't even know anymore. But it was a long time. And, I mean, how much is the game now?
Probably $30. Yeah.
So that's an indicator of how much time
Yeah,
has passed.
it had, I mean, yeah. It'll almost be a year.
And it just...
I gotcha. Well, I will say really quickly that I think we've done a good job of kind of deconstructing the game, more or less. I think that the design, I would say the detail and the characters, their dialogue is incredible. Like, it's just so well done. And my favorite parts of the game have nothing to do with the combat, has everything to do with like the little back and forths between Sully and Sam when you're not really around, right? You're like walking around, but they're talking behind you.
driving.
Love that stuff. Like, that stuff is so great. And nothing, in terms of all the dialogue, in my opinion, is probably the most natural I've seen in any game. Obviously, you have some top tier voice actors behind it that have worked together before and have worked with Naughty Dog before, right? So all credit to them. It looks incredible. It's an incredible looking game. It's beautiful. The music is fantastic. Those flashbacks are awesome. Incredible. And, I think that they're probably even better than the flashbacks you have in Uncharted 3 with Sully, when you first meet Sully, which I think those are pretty great. But ultimately, yeah, you know what? The design didn't go hand in hand with the mechanics, and there was definitely some flawed moments and some very unrealistic moments. And I know it's an action movie, but when you introduce certain tones or mechanics, it's like, well, you kind of have to go all the way. You can't half-ass it. And I'm not saying they half-assed it, but they probably didn't. I think that they're coming out of something as serious and dire and beautifully made as The Last of Us. I guess maybe they didn't know where to go, right? And I remember one of the words I heard when Neil Druckmann was interviewed a while back. It's like, hey, we had to remind everyone to crank it up to 11 because this isn't The Last of Us. This is Uncharted now. And it's like, well, yeah, but can you really just turn that on a dime? I don't think you can, even with one of the best developers in the world, right? So I would say there's a lot that I enjoyed about the game, but I kind of mirror what you said about the mechanics in particular and some of the character choices. And while I still enjoyed it, and I probably like it more than you do...
You played it 3...
I played it 3... Well, because I had time. I had time, man. I had a lot of time. The game is going to be lower on my, end of the year list because there has been some incredible stuff that has come out.
It is not my game of the year.
It was months ago, right? But I think it's premature to say that your game of the year is what it is 5 months before the year ends, right? And now after I played kind of a bunch of other stuff, it's like, well, there's other games that have set the bar. So, Uncharted 4. Charted. Real quick though, what did you think about the epilogue?
The epilogue. The one with Cassandra?
Yes.
Yeah, that was nice. I mean, I was also conflicted because I was like, this is way too goddamn happy.
It's fan service.
But, I mean, I liked being able to walk around their house. I mean, some of my favorite moments were just...
environmental stuff.
Yeah, just being aimless throughout an environment.
Yeah.
Like, I like that I got to sneak around the... what was it? It wasn't the orphanage, but was it an orphanage?
It was a church
Monastery?
/ orphanage.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked being able to sneak around there, but I was kind of like, I want to explore more.
Yeah, but you can't. That part is extremely linear compared to the mansion, which is like, go wherever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I like being able to explore a lot of that stuff. So in being Cassandra, I enjoyed opening the fridge, taking out some snacks, walking around. By the way, Cassandra, you're an asshole because you got a whole apple, took a bite, and then threw it in the garbage.
Right.
That's wasteful.
That is wasteful.
At least give it to the dog.
Right. You can feed the dog though.
Probably wouldn't eat the apple though.
No, but you can feed him some treats.
Oh yeah, you can feed the dog some
I think the limit's like 3 or 4 though.
Oh.
Yeah. You can go far.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I did like the epilogue in that sense.
I love the music there.
Yeah, the music's good.
Oh, it's so well done.
The music does not disappoint.
No,
ever.
Of course not. No, it never does.
There's no Naughty Dog game where the music disappoints.
Willie, I don't remember his name. I feel so terrible for not remembering his name, but I'll put it in the description. Okay, last thing. Last thing. Favorite scene, if you have one. Favorite moment. Because I want to end this on a positive.
My favorite moments. My favorite moment.
Do you need to think about that for a second? I can tell you mine.
Yeah.
Okay. My favorite moment is when they're in the founders' houses that are in Avery's house. Or, no. What's the other guy's name? 2?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where they have the dinner. Where they invite everyone as a truce, right? And they poison all the drinks. I love the whole moment where Drake and Elena are uncovering this mystery. And they're there and they're like walking around the table and they're like, oh, so this is what happened. I love that moment. I think that's some great stuff. And even like the dialogue and everything, it even sounds eerie and creepy when they're walking around the entire mansion. That's my favorite part. Super awesome. Well done, well directed and acted.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a really good part.
I don't know if I have the favorite moment off the hip. I will say that some of my more enjoyable moments were just being able to explore.
Yeah.
I mean, just being able to take time in certain environments and to really enjoy exploring. I think if you had asked me that in Uncharted 2, I would have said those interactive scenes, like the train scenes. Like every train scene.
Yeah.
I can't say that there was I cannot
something
say
like that iconic.
There wasn't something like that iconic in this one. Only because they were so fantastical that I was like, man, I just don't know if I can get behind this.
Right, yeah.
This one, but I really enjoyed the nuance. I really enjoyed the subtleties. Those are my favorite moments. Just being able to see little things and wait a few minutes longer to say, you know what, I want to just explore this section just a small bit more.
Right.
That. And I mean, that goes to everything, like just spending another minute or two in the Jeep just driving around Madagascar.
Yeah.
Like, I know where I gotta go, but I just want to...
see what happens.
Yeah.
See what they say to each other.
That was for me my better moments, my happier moments with Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
Being able to explore, which is odd because that's not originally what it intended to be, but it ended up becoming some of my favorite things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, either way, I look forward to seeing what Naughty Dog does next.
What Naughty Dog does next? A reboot of Crash Bandicoot.
No, that's not going to happen. That's too backwards, man. They'll hand it off to somebody else to do that.
And
new IP. There's a new IP. They got a new IP in the works.
And then there's
The Last of Us.
There's the prequel to The Last of Us, which is called The First of Them.
The First of Them.
There's the movie of The Last of Us coming out.
I want that to be It's Just Me left.
It's just me.
All right.
What else are they going to make? Uncharted 5.
Well, we'll see.
Look,
DLC's coming.
If they do an Uncharted 5,
I want it to be a prequel.
You know what?
I want it to be young Sully. He's got adventures of his own too.
A prequel would be nice.
Oh.
Right. Like before he met Nathan.
Oh yeah.
That would be great.
When it's actually believable to see him jumping incredible heights.
I could do that.
Because Uncharted 4 is like, dude, this guy is in his 60s. Yeah. There's no way he jumped that fucking rooftop. No fucking way. I don't care how spry you are.
I just think things need to be trilogies or
or one-offs?
No. What's Star Wars? Because it has.
That's an anthology?
Is that when you get to 6 is it an anthology? Then what happens when you get to 9?
I don't know. You're asking me things I don't know. That's why I'm not in Hollywood.
Things in threes.
Things in threes.
Those are always really good.
Trilogies.
Yeah, I don't know what's next for Naughty Dog, but here's the thing: if they don't maintain that level of great story, for me, I don't care how many great moments there are. I gotta feel okay with the picture.
Sure.
I mean, like the big picture. I gotta feel okay with like this whole thing is great. Like for example, if I played The Last of Us for somebody, obviously the first 10 minutes is gonna have them hooked.
Yeah, for sure.
The best part is the rest of that fucking game is flawless.
Yeah.
Is great, and I know I'm gonna have you hook, line, and sinker the rest of it. So it's not me just going, let me just give you the first 10 minutes.
Right.
Because
I think with that game, there's no such thing as the first 10 minutes. You play the whole fucking game.
And I know they're going to get hooked on it.
Yeah.
But for Uncharted 4,
Didn't do that to you.
there is no first 10 minutes. For me, it's like, I don't even know where that
Where the hook happened, or or when it was intended to happen.
And I'm not saying that they have to have a hook.
No, they
I'm not
don't.
saying that Uncharted games have, that Naughty Dog games have to have that, but there is a follow-through that happened with Last of Us that I don't feel like happened with Uncharted 4.
Sure.
And I know they're different games, but
Yeah. That can only be an excuse up to a point.
Narrative masterpiece. I mean, Naughty Dog is capable of great narrative creation that I think
Early Uncharted 2 and The Last of Us are clear examples of that.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
I don't know, Naughty Dog. I'm interested though, just to see what something a little outside the norm.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe it's not even a shooter this time.
I'd be okay with that.
I mean, I think ultimately, if they didn't make a shooter next time, I think I would be unfathomably impressed, because some of the best narrative games, like Last of Us and Bioshock Infinite, they came out very similar in timing.
Sure.
Both beautiful narratives.
At the core, they are shooters.
But at the core, they're shooters.
Yeah.
And I would love... And do you remember what Ken was saying when he was like, why they had to have Booker on the cover with a gun?
Yeah.
Because you gotta
get the frat boys. That was literally his quote. You gotta get the frat boys to buy this.
And it's like...
That sucks.
I would love for them to get narrative enough to not have to deal with shooters.
Let's get Naughty Dog's take on Journey. Damn. I don't know what that would be like.
I don't know if I'd want clickers in Journey.
No, I probably wouldn't either.
For a second, I thought you were going to say No Man's Sky, and then I was going to say, why, so it can suck.
Oh, dear Lord. That's a good place to stop.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marcos.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We'll see you later.
We'll see me later, too.
Yeah, probably.